All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to tackle a huge skill in algebra, solving simple equations that have multiplication and division. Now, I know it sounds basic, but trust me, getting this down is like learning a secret code that unlocks so many other math problems you're going to run into later on.
So think about it like this. What if I told you that every single operation in math has its own undo button? You know, like an opposite action that cancels it out? Well, that one idea, that's the key to solving pretty much any equation. Today, we're going to find that undo button for multiplication and for division.
And here's the thing. You already know how this works. You know that to cancel out adding 5, you just subtract 5. We are applying that exact same logic here. So, to undo multiplying by 4, what are we going to do? We're going to use its direct opposite, dividing by 4. See? The tools might change a little, but the strategy stays exactly the same. And if you want the official term for that undo button, it's called an inverse operation. I know it sounds a little formal, but it's a really simple idea. Multiplication and division, they're a pair. They're literally designed to perfectly cancel each other out. And that is exactly how we get our variable all by itself.
Okay, now before we solve a single problem, we have to talk about the most important rule in all of algebra. I mean it, the golden rule. I want you to picture an equation like a perfectly balanced scale. If you add a little weight to one side, what happens? It tips, right? So if you do something to one side of an equation, you absolutely must do the exact same thing to the other side to keep it balanced. This rule is 100% non-negotiable.
All right, that's enough theory. Let's actually see how this works in practice. We're going to walk through a few problems together and put both of these ideas, inverse operations and the golden rule, to the test.
Okay, first up we have 4x equals 24. Our goal is simple, get x all by itself. Right now it's being multiplied by 4, so what's the inverse of that? It's dividing by 4. So we follow the golden rule and we divide both sides by 4. On the left, the 4's just cancel each other out, leaving us with x, and on the right, 24 divided by 4 is 6. And there's our solution, x equals 6. Simple as that.
So what happens if the variable is being divided? The logic is exactly the same, you just flip the operation. In the equation y divided by -3 equals 7, our y is being divided by -3. The inverse of division is multiplication. So we multiply both sides by -3. The -3's on the left cancel out, leaving y alone. And on the right, 7 times -3 gives us our answer, y equals -21. Now let's look at one with a negative. We've got -5a equals 30. Here, a is being multiplied by -5. Now this is so important. To get a by itself, we have to divide by that exact same number, and that includes the sign. So we divide both sides by -5. On the left, they cancel out, and on the right, 30 divided by -5 gives us our final answer. A equals -6.
You know, knowing the right steps is really only half the battle. The other half is knowing how to spot the common traps so you can sidestep them. Let's look at the two mistakes that people make most often.
This first trap is the one we just talked about, forgetting the sign. If the number attached to the variable is -5, you have to divide by -5. If you forget that little negative sign and divide by +5 instead, you're going to get a completely wrong answer. In algebra, precision is everything, and that tiny little dash makes all the difference in the world. And here's the other big one. When people see 3x, for some reason, their brain often jumps to subtracting 3. But you've got to pause for a second and ask yourself, what operation is actually happening here? 3x doesn't mean 3 plus x, it means 3 times x. So the only way to undo that multiplication is with its inverse, which is division.
Oh, and here's a quick pro tip for you. Once you get an answer, always plug it back into the original equation just to check. Remember that first problem where we found x equals 6? Let's check it. Does 4 times 6 equal 24? Yep, it does. It's literally a 5-second check that guarantees you got the right answer every single time.
So, okay, we've gone through the steps, we've gone through the rules, but what's the point? Why does any of this actually matter outside of a math test? Well, the truth is, this way of thinking, it's like a hidden framework for solving all kinds of problems out in the real world.
Think about something like converting units. Let's say you're at the airport and your suitcase weighs 50 pounds, but the airline limit is in kilograms. You know that 1 kilogram is about 2.2 pounds. While to figure out the weight in kilograms, you're actually solving the equation 2.2x equals 50. See? It's not just a problem in a textbook, it's a practical tool you can actually use.
So let's just recap the big takeaways. First, to get a variable by itself, you always use the inverse operation. Second, you have to obey the golden rule. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. And third, always watch those signs. If you can master those 3 points, you've mastered this skill.
Look, what you've really learned today isn't just about solving for x. It's a systematic way of thinking. It's a process for finding an unknown just by working backwards. You've built a critical foundation. So the real question isn't just about what's on the next quiz. It's now that you have these tools, what bigger, more complex problems are you going to solve next? Thanks for tuning in.